All right, today we're tackling a really fascinating puzzle, one that honestly affects every single one of us, especially now, in the age of AI.
Think about it. We have more information at our fingertips than any generation in history. It's all right there, in our pockets. But here's the paradox. Are our phones, these incredible tools that are supposed to make us smarter, secretly making us weaker thinkers?
Well, the key to unraveling this starts with something scientists call the memory paradox.
You know exactly what this is, because we all do it constantly. Who memorizes phone numbers anymore? Or driving directions? Nope, we just pull out our phone. This habit has a name, cognitive offloading, and it's basically become second nature for most of us.
And this isn't just something we do on our own. For decades, the mantra, especially in education, has been, hey, why memorize it when you can just look it up? Makes sense on the surface, right? Why clog up your brain with facts when Google's right there? But what if that whole idea is built on a fundamental misunderstanding of how our brains actually learn?
Okay, and this leads us to the first big clue in our investigation. It's a huge global mystery that has had scientists scratching their heads for years. See, for most of the 20th century, something amazing was happening. Generation after generation, IQ scores in developed countries were going up and up and up. They called it the Flynn effect. But then, around the mid-70s, it just stopped, and then it started to go down. So what happened? That's the core question of our little cognitive whodunit. I mean, it can't be genetics. That doesn't change on a dime like this. So some kind of environmental factor must have changed. But what could be so powerful that it could actually reverse a 100-year trend of rising intelligence?
To figure this out, we have to pop the hood, so to speak. We need to look inside our own brains and get a handle on the basic machinery of how we learn and remember things.
So your brain basically has two different memory systems running at the same time. On one hand, you've got your declarative memory. This is your know-what system. It's for facts, concepts, things you have to consciously think about to recall. Then on the other hand, you have procedural memory. That's your know-how system. This is for skills and habits that are totally automatic. You don't even have to think about them. Think riding a bike or typing on a keyboard.
Now this is where it gets interesting. Real expertise, true mastery of anything, happens when you move knowledge from that slow, clunky know-what system into the fast, effortless know-how system. The process is pretty straightforward. You learn a fact, then you practice it. You retrieve it again and again, and eventually, bam, it becomes automatic. It's just part of you.
Okay, let me give you a really simple example that shows this in action. Imagine you type, say, 5 times 10 into your calculator, and for some reason it spits out 500. You don't even have to think about it, right? You just feel it. There's this little alarm bell that goes off in your head that says, whoa, wait a minute, that's not right. That gut feeling is unbelievably important.
That feeling has a name. It's called a prediction error. It's this powerful jolt your brain gives you when reality doesn't line up with your internal expectation. And that flash of surprise, that's literally the engine of learning. It's your brain screaming, pay attention, something's wrong, update your files.
But here's the crucial part. For that learning engine to even fire up, your brain needs to have made a prediction in the first place. Think about it. If you never bothered to memorize your times tables, you'd have no internal expectation of what 5 times 10 should be. The calculator says 500? Okay, seems fine to me. You can't spot the error if you don't know what the right answer is supposed to look like.
All right, so now we can start connecting these dots. We can link these clues from neuroscience back to our everyday habits and, yeah, back to that big mystery of the falling IQ scores.
This takes us right back to that old saying, you can always look it up. The educator E.D. Hirsch Jr. posed a really sharp question about this. He asked, essentially, or can you? How can you look something up effectively if you don't have enough background knowledge to even know what to search for, or to make sense of what you find?
See, when we're constantly offloading everything to our devices, we don't end up storing the actual information in our heads. What our brain does instead is create what some researchers call biological pointers. It's like your brain doesn't remember the fact, it just remembers where to find the fact. It gives you this illusion that you know things when you really don't.
And this creates a really dangerous cycle. One study called it metacognitive laziness. Because a tool can spit out a quick answer, we stop putting in the hard mental reps. We stop doing the heavy lifting required to build real, deep knowledge. And we end up robbing our brains of the exercise they desperately need to stay sharp.
And this could very well be the answer to our mystery. The reversal of the Flynn effect might just be a giant, population-level symptom of this very trend. As schools moved away from memorization and all of us started leaning more and more on technology, maybe, just maybe, we stopped giving our memory muscles a regular workout.
So where does that leave us? Should we all just toss our smartphones in the river? No, of course not. The answer isn't about abandoning technology, it's about finding a new, much smarter balance.
And here's the key takeaway. The goal we should all be aiming for: augmentation without atrophy. It means using technology to augment our intelligence, to make us better, without letting our core cognitive skills atrophy and waste away. We use it to help us think, not to do the thinking for us.
So how do we actually do that? How do we find that balance? Well, neuroscientists have a pretty cool guideline for this. It's sometimes called the 85% rule. And what the research shows is that the sweet spot for learning, where our brain grows the most, isn't when things are super easy, and it's not when they're frustratingly hard. It's when the difficulty is set so that we succeed about 85% of the time. That other 15%, the part where we fail and struggle a bit, that's where all the magic happens. That's where we learn. So what are some practical ways to put this into action in our own lives? Well, first, we can embrace what's called desirable difficulty. That means practicing foundational skills without our digital crutches. Try doing some basic math in your head for a change. Second, make a point to use technology to check your work, not to do it for you. Build that internal knowledge first. Also, let's bring back some intentional memorization. Assign yourself key facts to learn to build up that mental database. And finally, and this one's huge, after you learn something, just stop. Reflect on it for a minute. Don't immediately grab your phone and dive into a sea of distraction. Give your brain a chance to let it sink in. Because at the end of the day, the knowledge we actually carry inside our heads, that's what fuels our ability to think critically, to be creative, to solve problems on the fly. So I'll leave you with this one last thought to chew on. In this incredible new age of AI, is your memory a liability, something outdated, or is it actually your greatest, most powerful asset?